Ray, behind the scenes.
Yep.
Okay.
And you are. And we are going live.
Long before Women Who Lead and my work in diversity and inclusion at Home Services of America, I spent years in the relocation industry. It was a world that taught me so much about leadership, relationships, service, and helping people through some of life's biggest transitions. That's one of the reasons that today's episode feels so very special and meaningful to me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Lead. I'm your host, Teresa Palacios Smith, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. This month, we're spotlighting momentum makers, leaders who are helping people and organizations move forward through group moves, international locations, settling in services, and all the unexpected moments in between. So go ahead, grab your cafecito or your favorite mug because this is going to be a good one. So let's get started. Joining us today are three women I deeply respect, not just as leaders, but as professionals who have dedicated their careers to helping people through moments that can be exciting, stressful, emotional, and sometimes downright unpredictable. Let me introduce our panelists, right, Linda? That's the truth, right? So I've got Katie Adams, who is Vice President of Corporate Relocation and Business Development at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate. Welcome,
Hi.
Katie. Linda Moyer, who is Vice President Relocation Services at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Florida Network Realty and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Florida Realty. So welcome as well, Linda. And Jill Wiley. Jill is Vice President of Relocation Services for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Drysdale Properties. I'm excited, Jill, that you're with us today as well.
Thank you for having me.
So welcome, ladies. I'm happy to have each of you here. And again, as I introduce all of you, I really love our relocation industry. I was very involved with it. Kathy Conley is one of my mentors. As you all know, she was my boss forever. And that before I got in the role that I'm in, and people don't always know about the business and the industry itself. So I really wanted to find out, first of all, what led you to the reload industry because it is very unique. And what made you realize that that was the work that you wanted to do? And before you do that, also tell us where your markets are, like where are you located and how many people and companies are within your area of coverage. So I'll start with you, Linda.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. And hello, everyone. I'm so glad to get to be here. Well, as far as I'll begin by sharing with you my market areas as you asked. So I actually represent two Berkshire Hathaway Home Services companies in Northeast Florida, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Florida Network Realty, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra, Palm Coast areas. And then Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Florida Realty, which covers South Florida, Southeast Florida, Southwest Florida, and Central Florida, all the way up to Orlando. So between my two companies, we have a couple thousand of agents and, oh gosh, what would that be? About 40 branch offices. Let's
Very
see. And
interesting.
I know, exactly. I love it. And then you ask about what got me into the business. Well, I actually had the pleasure of relocating to Florida a number of years ago as a trailing spouse through a corporate relocation. So I experienced that firsthand. And then I got into the commercial real estate world, enjoyed that particularly because of the business to business aspect. And then I was presented with an opportunity in the residential real estate world, relocation division, which I enjoyed because it allows me to continue to support businesses, the business to business aspect of helping businesses grow through their talent acquisition support that we provide. But also, as you said, Teresa, just knowing that you're really helping those individuals and their loved ones that are relocating to through all those emotions and the challenges in one of life's biggest stressors.
Well, when you moved, where did you start? Like, were you at Florida Network Realty or?
Yes. Florida
So you
Network Realty
started?
in Jacksonville, Florida. My late husband's work brought us to Jacksonville, and we had opportunities to go other places. But we said, no, why do we leave here? So we stayed. And then about 4 years ago, I was honored with the opportunity to serve Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Florida Realty as well. So
And big shout
excited.
out to Ann and also to Ray Mesa and King and
Yes,
Ray Mesa
absolutely.
who operate those companies. How about you, Jill? Tell us how you got in. It was by choice or by chance?
Definitely by chance. First, I just wanted to mention real briefly, I do represent Drysdale Properties. Been there a long time, and we cover all of Northern California and Northern Nevada, the Reno market. We have over 40 offices and about 700, 800 agents. So just wanted to get that out of the way. But um, I definitely found relocation by chance. I didn't have any clue what relocation even was. But I did find my way through real estate like most of us. I actually answered an ad. It was my second job out of college, and they were offering to pay for your real estate license. And I thought, well, that sounds pretty cool. I would love to have my real estate license. So after I landed that job, I was kind of in an administrative role, but I quickly transitioned over into their relocation department. But I was assisting with inventory properties. That was like my first job. And back then in the early 90s, it was a long time ago, there were hundreds of inventory properties. And as you know, those can be very challenging. There's a reason they're an inventory property. There's a reason behind it. But I think that's what I really loved initially was just getting those houses ready to sell. The challenge of getting them sold and strategizing and all of that. And I think what kept me here is just after various roles, I was a relocation consultant as well. What kept me here is just kind of realizing, what a great impact we do make with these people, during a major life transition and helping them feel supported, all of that. And I love the mix. I love the mix of strategy, people, and problem solving, and the camaraderie and the relationships that I have in this industry.
And you built some really strong relationships. And in fact, you actually, I don't know if you remember this, Jill, but you actually, when you were starting, I think, you came to Atlanta
I
and you
did.
and I worked on, told you what I did. Well, I don't know if you remember that
I
because
think we
again,
went
it's such,
corporate calling even
yes,
Oh
it
my
too.
was
goodness.
corporate
Yeah.
calling. I was telling you how I did it and all that stuff. So I remember that still to this day. I remember you wore some cute white jeans. I still remember what you wore.
Oh,
Yes.
that was fun. And
It's,
they say that no one ever really leaves this industry. And I think that to some degree is true. I
it's
mean,
so
you may
true.
be you may be in a different role, you could be in a different company, but you never really leave.
That's it's
And
so true.
I have so many friends that I've had for, 20 plus years. And I feel like this industry is just very special in that
And
aspect.
that's why I think we stay so long because of the friendships that we develop. Two things that I want to tell the audience because you're giving a lot of dialogue information on things that people may not know, like trailing spouse. So that means that Linda actually was the individual that moved with her husband. Her husband actually got the job, and so she was
Right.
coming with alongside him, and that's a term that we use in the industry. And then also inventory properties. So those are properties, right? That actually the company at one time the corporation would buy those properties out for the employee because they wanted the employee to move on, and then that property would be left for owned by the corporation in many cases, and then the handled to get them sold, or if they were hard to sell, there would be like a 90-day time period for them to try to get that property sold, and then it became an inventory property. So again, I just realized, we're talking the
Yeah.
language, but some people would not understand what it is. How about you, Katie? Tell us about how you became a part of the reload process.
Okay, well, first of all, my market is the Omaha, Nebraska metro area, which includes Council Bluffs, Iowa, a little bit of Southwest Iowa, and we also have Columbus, Norfolk area, which is just a little bit north of us here on the east side of Nebraska. And then we also cover our Lincoln, Nebraska, which is the home of our state capital. So, and the Cornhuskers. So I had to put that little plug in. Anyway, so we have a big market area, about 1,050 agents roughly. So we've grown a lot since I began. I think we had 50 some, under 60 agents when I started. So we've grown a lot over the years. For me, I woke up when I was about 10 and said I wanted to be a relocation director. No, completely kidding. Nobody does that. Nobody ever thinks of that. I actually started as a realtor here with what was Prudential Ambassador at the time. So I've been with Vincent Carroll forever. Worked with clients, helping them to buy their first home. For me, it was just never about selling the house. It was about guiding them through some of the most expensive purchases they'll ever make and dealing with all of that. So probably 6 or 7 years after that, my predecessor left and the opportunity came to me to take over the department. And honestly, I wasn't sure if it was going to be right for me. I loved that face-to-face interaction with my clients and I loved seeing the houses and being out there. But I have to tell you, once I took the plunge, I never looked back. And to Jill's point, the saying is, once you fall into relocation, you never get out. It's so true. I never ever wanted to walk away from it. I found a true purpose here, helping our clients navigate through these stressful transitions. It was really important to me to help them solve problems and get acclimated to our community. I just loved it. It really became my passion. I love it. I can't
And I
imagine
love
doing
that
anything
you have
else.
that background too, because you have the real estate experience of selling
Yes.
homes and you can really relate to the whole process a little bit
Yes.
better.
And it made it easier for our agents as well because they knew I understood where they were coming from. And it helped me train them to understand, boy, I learned a lot once I got behind this desk. But, oh my goodness, it's a lot different than I thought it was from being an agent.
It
So
is so different, right? And I think a lot of people think that relocation is just moving boxes and logistics. Like, oh, it's just that, but it's really much more than that. So what do you think people misunderstand about the work that you all do? And I'll go to Jill for this one.
I think the biggest misconception is that the relocation is just purely transactional. Like we're just assigning referrals and answering emails, and it's really a people business first. Many of these people, they're leaving behind everything, their routines, their schools, their comfort zones, and it does require a lot of empathy and a lot of communication and trust. And also, I don't think people realize what's going on behind the scenes. There's so many moving parts. There's so much going on behind the scenes, as far as, balancing the corporate expectation, the timelines that we get from our clients, from our relocation clients, the agent coordination, the housing challenges, and all of the family's needs. So it's all of those things going on at once.
It's really, until you're in it, you don't realize it because you've got so many multiple clients. Katie, talk about that. Because you just said you've got the reload companies, but there's even the corporations you're representing. Some moves don't have a reload or third manage. When I was in it, they may have changed all, but don't have a third management party management company. Sometimes it's a different type of business because you're handling not just reload business. There are affinity programs that you're working on. There are
mhm.
loan programs that get referrals based in it. It's like agent to agent referrals. You're encompassing a lot of areas because, I mean, it's more than that. So, Katie, anything you want to add?
It's definitely not the way it was when I first began. And to your point, yes, it was a lot of direct corporate in the beginning and a few bits and pieces of RMC, and then it kind of turned all RMC, and then that's changed. So the industry's changed a ton, but it's always managing that expectation. And honestly, it's always about, you probably hear me say this a lot, because to me, it's always about that client and what their needs are, whether that client is the corporation or it's the RMC or it's the transferee or it's even the agent for that matter, or the broker. We just have to focus on that constantly. And I think that is misunderstood by most people. They just don't realize how many different things there are and how many hats we wear. We just have to listen and we have to strategize and problem solve and even be part counselor to everyone involved. So it's interesting, but it's also very fun and it's very rewarding to help everybody navigate through all of that.
I remember thinking, God, we're psychologists, because
Yes.
everyone had issues or problems or things that were happening. Even our agents, sometimes they can't make a, something happens when their car breaks down and they are supposed to meet someone, and all these things that you have to kind of, make sure that you're handling. Linda, how about, I know one of the things that also you're dealing with is people that are in transition, and it's major life transitions in many cases. So, what have those experiences taught you about people, stress, and leadership?
Oh, so much. You're so right. Statistics say that relocation is one of life's top stressors. It's right up there on the list with divorce and the death of a loved one. So people probably don't really understand just how much stress is involved, even if the individual, the employee maybe who's relocating is excited about the job, and even if the family's excited about the job, it's still a very stressful thing. And of course, being a part of that as relocation directors, we see a lot of emotions as well. So I think one of the things that I have learned that creates a successful relocation is when every member of the relocation, the employee and all the loved ones that are coming with them, that they all make a smooth transition. And I think it's our role as a relocation director to provide, as Katie said, the solutions to inevitably the hiccups that will arise, because everyone's relocation is different. There's no, textbook relocation for sure. But for an example, if I may share, we were asked to do an area orientation tour for an executive candidate for a large employer here to support their talent acquisition needs. And the gentleman told me, he didn't tell his employer this, but he told me that he was not taking the job, no matter how great the job was, if we couldn't provide him with a ballet school for his 9-year-old daughter like he had in their current city. Well, I had 2 sons. I don't know anything about ballet. So as Katie said, though, we find solutions. So we rolled up our sleeves and we found a ballet school for his 9-year-old daughter that was very similar to where they were coming from and met their needs. And so he was able to accept the relocation. They were able to relocate smoothly. The employer was so happy to have his skill as an employee of their company. And so it was a huge success. So that's just one example of hundreds I could give of just how important, like Jill said earlier too, we have to do everything we can to take care of everyone's need in the relocation in order for it to be truly successful.
It's so true. I mean, there's so many things that you're juggling at one time. And there are so many things that, like any time, Murphy's Law can go wrong, right?
Right.
So one thing that I always want to know, how do you stay grounded when everything around you is moving quickly and something's happening that you can't control, right? And Katie, I'll ask you that question and then I'll ask everyone else because I think that's important because people don't realize the stress. And I've been there that you can be under, especially in a group move scenario.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when you've got and a group move is when, and Katie, if you don't mind explaining what that means.
Okay, well, first of all, group move is when I guess to shorten it, it is when a corporation decides that they want a group of individuals in another location. They literally want maybe a department or a set of engineers or accounts or something to be in a different location. So they literally will offer them positions. And then we as providers will go in and explain the community and talk about housing and things like that, just to kind of get them acclimated. We do bus tours, we'll do anything that they need, provide them information on anything from, boy, you name it. I've even had to get pet grooming list for folks that were doing group tours. So you never know what's going to trigger somebody. So I did have a woman one time that was very upset because she couldn't find a groomer and she hadn't even taken the job yet, but it was very important that her show dogs had a perfect groomer. So we did the same thing, rolled up our sleeves. So people make decisions for different reasons and it's very stressful for them. So I think just trying to be prepared and be that encyclopedia of information for them is very helpful. So I think to answer your question a little bit what I try to focus on is just what I can control when things are going crazy. I think, well, I always say this, and my girls in the office just kind of give me that look, but they know I'm right. I always say you can't control what you can't control. So I know that's very obvious, but when you're overwhelmed, it always feels bigger than it really is. So if you just kind of take a breath and say, okay, I can't control this, but I can figure out the right solution or multiple solutions to make everybody happy. There's just so many things in our world we can't predict. I mean, in our personal world, but even in what we do every day. I mean, the market shifts, interest rates go up, interest rates go down. We have inspection issues, delayed closings. We have people that don't want to move for group moves, so you're doing the best that you can and have so many things on your plate. I don't feel like it's worth the panic or the time to get upset about it. You just have to pull it together and find those solutions. Make sure everybody gets to their end goal. That's what's important. And I
love that.
personally enjoy being the calm in the storm.
And
I
you
do. I
are.
don't even realize I do it. People
Yeah.
tell me that.
But you
but
are
Yes,
like a
you are.
calming person. I mean, that is really kind of your personality. Wouldn't y'all agree? I mean,
Yeah.
Katie's very calm and
It's kind of
collective.
my superpower,
It is.
apparently. I don't
I
even
would go
realize I do
crazy,
it.
like, oh my God. It's like, but you're very calm and collective. How about you, Jill?
Well, I agree. I try to stay focused on what I can control and try not to get so emotionally pulled into the chaos. I mean, things shift hourly in our business, and I've learned, you just got to keep things in perspective. And if I can stay calm and solution oriented, I think it helps everyone else around me do the same. And one thing I've definitely learned is not to react immediately to problems because they will come up, closings go awry. And sometimes if you just step back for a little while and give situations just a little bit of time, a lot of times the emotions will settle, all of that, and the problem can just resolve itself. And I would say 100% the thing that I had to learn immediately is to become a good listener. A lot of times these people just want to be heard. I had a lady last week who was kind of frustrated. She didn't think things were moving fast enough. And I called her and kind of talked her through the process. And you could tell by the end of the 20-minute call, she was relieved. And, that's really all they want. They just want to be heard. And I think listening's just a huge skill that we have to have and learn.
It definitely does help in this scenario. Linda, how about you?
Well, Katie and Jill, of course, said it just beautifully, but so I would agree. I think the way I stay grounded and lead effectively through chaos is, as they already said, just being that calm and stable voice, listening well, empathizing with their concerns, offering solutions. We have to be good problem solvers. I frankly have discovered that time blocking really helps me too. Of course, being committed to providing service excellence to our customers really requires that those urgent customer and agent needs have to come first, always. But time blocking, though, does provide me with a framework to still try to meet my department goals and focus on what's important to meet my goals for the department on an annual basis, most days anyway.
You're good about that. That was always my weakness, but because I would get sidetracked.
It's so
I
easy for that to happen. So
It's
I love
easy
that.
in our business.
That's right. It
It is,
really is.
yeah.
Especially all the whirlwinds that happen,
Yeah.
when you think you're going to sit down and get something done and you get that call
Yes.
that is unexpected of a challenge that's come up or arisen. So let's talk about, this is one of my favorite questions because I know that there are a lot of situations that happen that are very complex and really very difficult at the time that they're happening. So what is one situation or moment that kind of stands out that perfectly captures how complex and unpredictable the business can really be? Katie, I'll start with you.
I actually don't know if I have a great answer for this, but I can tell you that every day is a new experience. There are so many different cogs in the wheels, and there are so many different ways things can go wrong. And they do. You're balancing all the needs of your clients. And literally, when I say clients, I mean everybody that's in the mix, the brokers, the agents, even our staff, our corporate and RMC partners, and of course, our transferees. Everybody's a client to us. So just managing those expectations, which could be all over the board, and wanting everything to go smoothly. I'm a people pleaser. I want everybody to be happy, and that's a challenge, and things just go wrong. So I think, there's nothing really specific, but you have to be willing to step up. You got to be able to admit failure, whether it's yours or someone else's, learn from it and do your best to remedy it.
That is perfect because it's so true. There will be failures. There will be things
Always.
that happen, and you just have to say, okay, I own up to it. This is, something that went wrong. Here's what I could have done, next time this won't happen again. You learn from them. Jill, how about you?
Well, I agree with Katie. I was thinking about this and nothing specific came to mind, but I just feel like it is everything. There's moving pieces and they all affect one another behind the scenes. Not just the reload management company contacting us and their timelines, but other brokers that we're dealing with, the lenders, the movers, title. I mean, there's so many moving pieces and we all have to work together to provide that seamless experience for the employee. And like Katie said, no two relocations, they're never the same. But I actually feel like that is the thing that I love about this business. It's never the same transaction. You're always learning, and there's never a dull moment.
It's so true. Never a dull moment. Linda, how about you?
I so agree, Jill. It's never boring, is it, in our world? Well, Teresa, I think that the relocation director's role is key to the success in these complex and unpredictable situations. In fact, I think I see the relocation leader's role in two parts. First, being proactive by training the agents and the relocation staff to handle the scenarios correctly as best we can, as Jill said, but then also secondly, just being again that voice of calmness when identifying and offering solutions to any surprise or hiccup issue that might arise. And then as far as the agents, I think it's so important to create a trusting partnership. And I'm a believer in honest and transparent communication and just supporting their role in the whole process and the success of the transaction. And then, of course, supporting the relocation management companies is also very important, and just providing proactive communication and understanding their needs as well. They have, they're an important part, of course, of the whole process. And we want to keep them happy and keep them as a continual source of business. And that just requires that we understand their needs for timeliness and communication and the correct documentation that's done correct the first time and presented to them in the manner that they need. So it's a lot of juggling, but again, very important that we do that as relocation directors in order to keep the success of all parties.
You know what? And I can't believe y'all didn't give me specific. I'm gonna give y'all one that I had so you can
Okay.
see what happened to me because it was one when I had just started and I had a group move. I was so excited and we had all these things planned according to like everything where the bus is gonna come, it's gonna pick the transferees from the hotel, we're gonna transfer the transferees to a presentation at the corporate office where they're gonna talk about, they wanted them there, they were gonna eat breakfast there, and then from there at noon we were gonna leave and we were gonna go do tours of the area to, learn about Atlanta, and then we're gonna come dinner and all these things. The bus does not show up. The bus is not there. This is pre phones, right? I see somebody comes out and said, there's a bus that's on fire on 285. That was our bus. So our
Oh,
bus
no.
had caught fire before it actually arrived to our hotel. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've got 50 people that need to get to this location, for the presentation, and we have no bus. And the bus, how hard it
Sorry,
is to
200
coordinate
grand.
all that, but I remember the CEO immediately saying, well, don't we have cars here? Can we transport people by cars? Just that was not me. Like, that's when I first learned that lesson. You have to have a backup plan, come up with solutions so that we can, coordinate and get people where they need to be. And certainly there were enough cars that we could get people back and forth, get them to the location quickly so that we could get them to the presentation and I could resolve the bus issue in the interim that they were in the presentation. It worked out in the end, but I'm telling you, that's what people don't realize that you deal with every single day, all those problems and scenarios. One thing I know that's changing too, because I saw it as I was kind of getting involved in the DEI space that I'm in, was that there were a lot of different entities now entering the space of the referral opportunities. So you had a lot of companies that were coming in like Rocket. You had companies that were creating their own programs and then sending the referral business to you, because again, you each of you have such great reputations, because it's important when there is someone that can manage. That's really critical, all the pieces, especially when a company may want to send it just randomly, and there's no control over it, right? Because you're able to keep those safeguards in place to manage the process. Talk about that. Talk about the difficulty or the difference that you are now dealing with, because you have to still continue to create value, protect relationships, protect referral fees that are offered, that are being, submitted in different areas. And then also be very competitive, yet make sure that you are still, earning within your company and your departments, and that you are getting a good return on the investment of those referrals. So I'll start with you, Linda, with that question.
Well, you're right. The business has changed in my 26 years or so in this business. So it has changed, but I just try to stay very positive. I think that employers, still have a need to recruit and relocate talent to different market areas than where where their office is. So they're recruiting from other areas. And then, of course, broker to broker referrals are still strong, because people are going to have a need to relocate to be near families or some new adventure, whatever that may be. So those are still two very strong sources of our business, and it's based on relationships. And all of us, Jill, Katie, and I've been in the business for a long time, so we have really strong relationships. So of course, the brand of Berkshire Hathaway is so strong. Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices is such a strong brand that makes our phone ring as well. But of course, as you said, there are new streams of business opportunity out there. And of course, we always want to look into those and vet them and potentially partner with them and be adaptive to new ways of doing business. I just think that, by continuing to be devoted to service excellence to all parties, the real companies, the brokers that are referring us business, these new sources of business, by providing that service excellence, it keeps us top of mind for them to be the preferred broker partner in our market area. So I think it's a focus on service and just vetting new opportunities and staying in good relationships with current ones.
And it's also important too that sometimes you have to say no,
Oh,
because
yes, exactly.
it may be right and conflicting with an opportunity that or a client that you've already received, and there's too
Yes,
much, there's too much involved, right? Too much
right.
training that has to be done by the too many other pieces,
Yeah,
because again, a lot of people don't realize that even with the relationships that you have, a lot of these companies require their own specific training.
yeah,
Sometimes it's free, but most times it's at a cost. So is there,
yeah.
right, an opportunity that's going to match your
Mhm.
company's needs, the
Exactly.
agent's needs, and the opportunities that are going to create
Right.
for those referrals? Jill or Katie, you want to add on, or is there anything that you want to say regarding that?
The only thing, maybe a couple of things I would say, talking about those different pieces of business that sometimes just float into us or things that agents will bring to us. The blanket agreements sometimes are not good. If they're not good for our company, or if there is something that they're just completely unrealistic about, we just have to say no. And I hate to do that. And we usually try not to tell our agent, especially if it's an agent direct program, not to get involved in it. But if it's going to be detrimental to our company or to our agent, it's just not worth it. And there are things I'm shocked sometimes. Some of these companies that I've never heard of will come out of the woodwork, and I'll reach out to my peers. I really truly lean on my peers. I think they're, that experience that we all have. And if nobody's even heard of them and it looks pretty ugly, it's out the door. We just won't do it. because there's so much tracking involved in making sure that everything's done precise. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. So
I'll
saying no
just
is a good thing sometimes. We don't do it very often, but sometimes you have to.
Sometimes you have to say no. And even when it's a client that you've worked with a long time, that you realize this is now more than we can, that nobody's making, we're not able to, the agent has to get compensated because
Has to make financial
they're the
sense.
ones that are actually, really
Mhm.
taking on that responsibility of making sure that that individual's, under contract and finds the right home. Jill, you were going to add something.
Oh, I was just going to mention, I mean, it seems like it's constantly changing every day. We are all chatting with each other, and there's some new announcement. There's somebody else moving our cheese. We're always talking all the time, hey, have you heard of this new lead source or this, we're always looking for new sources. But when one door closes, it always seems that another window opens.
Mhm.
And I really believe that it happens all the time. We had just recently some internet leads that we were doing well with, and they basically shut it down. Won't go into any names. And then a few days later, we got an announcement on an affinity program that's, going to be a new source of business in our area. But I feel like, all of this is going to continue to evolve, but companies and people, they just still want trusted professionals who can solve the problems and that really genuinely care about this business. And I think that, that's just important that we all have each other. We all support each other during this. And I think that's great. And we all share advice. We laugh, we commiserate, all of those things. And it keeps us going for sure. Definitely keeps me going.
Well,
Definitely.
one thing I always want to know is what is the biggest challenge that you are dealing with right now? Because you are dealing with so many moving pieces, but what is really the thing that you're like, oh my God, how are we going? Or this is coming down the pipeline. How is that going to affect our industry? When you go to relocation RDC, which I love your cups, or worldwide ERC, what are the discussions around, and what is it the biggest thing that you're seeing that kind of keeps the industry up at night?
The roller coaster. I mean, Jill said it, things are changing at lightning speed. It is almost a full-time job keeping up on the headlines and keeping up on the legal changes. I mean, I literally feel like the last 2+ years, we've done nothing but prep narrative for our agents so that they can articulate what's happening to our clients. I mean, that has been huge, trying to make sure that they can get the point across so that everybody understands and in layman's terms. And it's really been a challenge. And I think for our industry, just the mobility side, there are a lot of changes. I mean, referral disclosure is one that's really coming up big right now. And, there's a couple of states that have already required it. There's another one that's going online July 1st for referral disclosure. And I think that to some extent, we're all a little bit hesitant because for years we just didn't talk about referral fees. It just wasn't discussed with the clients. And now we're faced with the fact that we probably will have to all do it eventually. I mean, even in Nebraska, Jill and I have this
You're
conversation
the
a lot.
last.
We're the last people to do anything in Nebraska. We're in the center of the country. So it all comes from Linda's side and from Jill's side and moves to the middle. So we're usually the last, but I sit on the licensed law committee here for the state, and it's being discussed. I mean, they're kind of pushing through disclosure, and I have a feeling if they keep pushing it, it will be on the docket for law next year. They really would like to push it and have it to be law next year, even in Nebraska. So it's coming. We're all talking about it. We're trying to figure out how it needs to be handled. Everybody has so many different ideas. I mean, Jill can talk to them about that a little bit too, how they're doing it in their neck of the woods, but it is literally a full-time job keeping track of all of the changes.
And every
It just
day
is.
there's a news bomb that's dropping
Yes.
every
A
single
bomb,
day.
exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Every day. I'm almost scared to open the Inman
Me too.
email.
Me too. How about Jill? You were gonna say, yeah,
I
talk
was
about
just going
that.
to add, and Katie knows this. So we are referral fee disclosure state now in California. And so these things have come up, that we're not, we got through the first thing, the buyer broker agency, all of that, but then now we've moved into this new dilemma, which is, that's where we do have to rely on our relocation management partners, our clients, to be able to explain this to them, the transferees, because a lot of times they don't understand why the agent's paying such a high referral fee. And they may feel, that maybe they're getting subpar service as a result. So that's another conversation we're having, and we're hoping that that our clients are having with the transferees. So that I think is definitely well, I know that's going to be on a panel coming up at our RDC meeting. And I feel like it almost passed through NAR. So I think that eventually we will all be dealing with that.
I think it's disclosure, disclosure, disclosure is what's happening, right? The consumer
Transparency.
needs to be aware of what's happening in all areas, from buyer agency to, how they're protected and who's representing them in the transaction, whether it's on the listing side or on the buyer side. So I think that is just where our industry is moving. How about AI? Has that affected your industry, Linda, at all? Just curious altogether, because I know in almost every industry, it's really, touched a chord.
Yes. In fact, this week, our company is one of the initial home services owned brokerages that is launching our new tech stack. And AI is an important part of that. So I don't want to give away too many of the secrets and let them take care of those announcements. But I'll just say that it is absolutely amazing. We had an all-day meeting yesterday, and the agents are so excited. It's just how much it's going to help them in their business. So I agree with what Jill and Katie have already said about the changes that we're going through in our industry. It's really, our role is really kind of a juggling act of juggling, as they said, the new things that are happening in our industry, just staying on top of the headlines and the new laws and the conversations that we need to be having as a result with our customers, but also training the agents, and then and then of course being responsible for growing our business at the same time, as we just said, with vetting new sources of business and keeping those relationships with current sources of business. So it's kind of a juggling act. And so it just requires us as relocation directors to always be setting priorities, adjusting, pivoting, communicating well. And I think I would just sum it up by just loving of the work that we get to do and the people that we do it with. So I think that having that passion is really the foundation of being successful.
It is a
in this juggling act.
passion-driven
Yeah.
business for sure, because you can actually want to pull your hair out on many days. And I know, like, for example, for a while it was the remote worker. How is that going to affect all these things?
Right.
But then you're now having the transitions of individuals in large sums that are moving from the West Coast, which brings opportunity on the listing side, to, the East Coast, which I know you are in Florida, are a recipient of a lot of reloads that are coming from the Northeast. Warmer
Yeah.
weather, opportunities of,
Exactly.
less, for the most part, affordability and all that.
Right.
So
Oh,
again,
yeah.
I see that kind of, like you were saying, Jill, something else comes in its place when you've got the turn that you're hearing a lot. So,
Right.
there's a lot of people that love what you do. What advice would you give someone today who wants to get in the relocation business and follow in your footsteps? Any one of you who wants to.
I'll jump on that one. Relocation is for you if you enjoy a fast-paced environment, enjoy problem solving, providing excellent customer service. It's a rewarding career because, as we've already said, we have the opportunity to be at a very important part of a process that really helps people in their time of need, helps corporations grow their business by being able to recruit and relocate the right talent. And plus we haven't talked about this yet, we get the opportunity to, as relocation directors, to invest in the careers of our staff and our agents. And that's very rewarding as well, just to be able to help and help them, coach them, and see their businesses thrive and grow, and especially staff too, to see how they can grow and develop through the years.
I love that. That's so true, right?
Yeah.
Because you're,
So
a
true.
lot of times they're a newer agent that starts with rental opportunities and
Yeah.
they grow out, into the space where they're now really developed and helping clients
Mhm.
all together.
Yeah.
So, as these are just kind of questions I'll ask each one of you. So Linda, I know that again, when you talked about the fact that you oversee two major companies
Yeah.
over, different areas, right? You've got, different cities that you're working. How do you
Right.
keep all that in balance? And when you've got so many agents to learn from and to know,
Yeah.
and also make sure that, that you're working and assigning them to the right people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm very fortunate. I work for two amazing companies that have great leadership with Ann King at Florida Network Realty and Ray Mesa at Florida Realty. And then I have a great staff of relocation coordinators who are passionate about the work that they get to do. And then the relocation certified agents, they are just terrific. And both of my companies, so I just love the partnership with them. And so I think your question, though, would require me to say that sometimes I have to stop and think, okay, which hat am I putting on right now? Which company? Where's this agent? Where is this? And so I have to sometimes pause for a second to think about which company, because even though they're both Berkshire Hathaway Home Services top companies in the brand, sometimes there's a little bit of different policy or procedure structure. So I do sometimes have to stop for a second, pause, and think, okay, which company, which market area am I talking about, and then go from there. But I couldn't be more fortunate to work for two great companies and their leadership and a great team and great agents that
And very
are just
organized. Both of them,
committed.
I know. They're
Yes, and
just
committed to
amazingly.
taking care of our customers first. So, yeah, it's a
That's
juggling act,
awesome.
but I love it.
Awesome. And I know, Jill, you're kind of in the same boat because you're actually in a different state and you're
Mhm.
managing operations in another state. So how are you able to adapt and make sure that you are, are dotting your I's and crossing your T's and making sure you get to know all the agents when you're not necessarily always there, because that can be also a challenge as well.
Well, I have a great leader as well, and she's been so supportive in making sure that I mean, I get there a lot. I have incredible relationships with all of these agents that I've worked with. They're great, they're fabulous. Initially, it was a learning curve for sure. I can remember I had, when I first started, I had a map.
Oh
And
yeah.
anytime anyone would call, I would panic if that map was not on my screen. But I will tell you, and I'm sure everyone will agree, I know that market better than the market I live in. I can tell you anything that's going on anywhere over there, because you're so ingrained into it, on a daily basis. But I've loved it. It's just it was a great, unique challenge, and I loved every minute of it. And I have an awesome leader, Gretchen Pearson, and I have to also give a shout out to my team. I'm incredibly lucky to have my teammate Shauna. She and I have worked together for more than 20 years now. We were at a different company before. She's always on top of everything. She's always willing to tackle, the hard conversations, and I just feel very blessed that I get to work alongside people like that. And all of these ladies, their support and the teamwork involved, it's what keeps me motivated and inspired.
Well, Gretchen's amazing leader. So again, thank you for, shout out to her. And I know, Katie, you work with Vince and
I do.
Vince, oh my God, the energy. I know he's got to keep you busy because now he's in different roles. And so tell me a little bit, how do you also, because you have two roles, you're not only just doing corporate reload, because in most companies, that's a separate role. You're also business development. So
Yes,
how do
I
you,
am.
yeah, how do you handle those two different roles? Because it's a lot. Both of them are very they're 8-hour job. I mean, they're full-time jobs.
Yeah, they really can be. They can be. And I have to really tell you, they're kind of almost one and the same for me. We're in a people business, and if everything you do doesn't revolve around people and building trust and strong relationships, you're not going to be able to business development either. I mean, it's not going to happen. So it's absolutely the foundation for me, to make sure that we keep continuing to bring in business and yet service who we have. So I literally will jump at talking about the hats again, Linda. I'm not jumping from company to company, but I'm jumping from role to role, trying to figure out, okay, am I in business development mode today or am I in corporate relocation mode today? And I am not very good at blocking my time. I'm a little more like Teresa, where I'm like, oh, shiny penny, let's take care of this one and let's do this. But I think it's nature of our business quite a bit. But I decided once I took on this role, and I told you before, it took me a minute to decide if it was going to be right for me. But once I decided, I knew I was in it for the long haul. So for me, reputation is everything. And I also mentioned this, I'm a huge people pleaser. So, anytime that I can be out and about, whether it's socially or professionally, I'm wearing that business development hat. So I'm building those relationships. I talk about what I do. I do get a little glaze over because there's so many aspects of our business. Sometimes not everybody understands what I'm saying, but I think that people know that they can trust me and they feel comfortable. And I think that that business comes eventually. So, the Field of Dreams quote, build it and they will come. I think that's kind of what we've done. I mean, we were, as I mentioned, a small company when I started as a realtor, but even 27 years ago, 27 and a half now, when I took over relocation, we still were a very small company. And so I just made it my goal to get out there and meet as many people as I could and keep providing that exceptional service. I mean, that was the big thing for us. If everybody knew that we were a team of folks that were providing that service and that we would do anything we had to do to make sure everybody had the best experience, that business would keep coming. I've had so many corporate people recommend me to their peers, HR peers and stuff. So it's really helped us do that. But all the time, I'm continuing to make sure that our corporate relocation continues to grow. And I have a team now. I'm fortunate to have my coordinator, and I've had inventory in my department forever, and that's been helpful. I've got two folks that handle all of the inventory. We have foreclosure business also. That's something we hadn't mentioned today. But we also handle that in our department too. So it is just continual business, just keeping repeat.
And one
Long-term
thing that I've
relationships and building
learned,
it.
even in all that you do, all of you, it's a small world. Like
It is.
you actually know the people, right, that are in it. And even when you
The
start business
players.
development, it's a small world. The chambers, the economic developers, they all either move from one place to another, they stay. Even Chris Carr, who was the head of economic development for the state, now is running for governor. So, I mean, I'm like
Oh,
here in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's like, wow, it's the people that, that you knew or know that are involved in what a great opportunity if he makes it, for business development because we all know him. So as I
absolutely.
close, right, I want to leave. I always want something our audience, to take with them, and I love to learn from you. What's your quote, your mantra, a book, a podcast? You can combine both that that has influenced you that you want to share with others. And I'll start with you, Linda.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Well, I think I'm going to share with you a favorite scripture verse, if I may. It's 1 Corinthians 16:14, and it says, let all that you do be done in love. And I think that's the reason why the three of us got into this business and have stayed for as long as we have. So how amazing is it that I get to do this work that I truly love with people that I love and trust and highly respect, like Jill and Katie and my own teams here in Florida. And we have the pleasure to serve and make a positive impact in the lives of our customers and our agents. So I just love that verse. It just speaks to my heart and why I am doing what I do and
I love it.
get to enjoy it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Linda. How about you, Jill?
Well, I love that. That was really nice. I
Me
would
too.
say one of my just falling in line with a quote, a leadership quote that I like. And it's from actually a book I just read. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. And I truly do
Love
believe
that.
that 100%. One of my other favorite books is Atomic Habits. don't know if
Mm.
anyone's read that one's a great one. And then another really fun book, if you haven't read it, and it's very motivating, is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Have you read that one?
Yes.
She has a few books.
She
That's
is
one
so
you can read
amazing.
over. It's so entertaining and motivating. So.
It really is. All right. Katie, give us the last one.
Well, I have a quote, and there's some controversy about who said it first, but I always say Maya Angelou said this. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I did mention I'm a people pleaser, right? That has always resonated with me. And I
It,
think just even growing up as a young child, my grandmother always said, do unto others, treat them as you want to be treated and make them feel good. And that's above all the most important thing to me.
It is the most important, and I love that quote. It is one of my favorites as well. So, first of all, thank you all. This has been such a meaningful conversation. And I think what stands out to me is that for those that don't know this business, relocation really is so much more than moving people from one place to another. It's the leadership under pressure, it's relationship building, as you stated, it's problem solving, and most of all, it's really helping people move forward during some of life's biggest transitions, which moving is a huge transition because everyone is like a jigsaw puzzle that has to get put back together again, is what I look at it. So, all of you, thank you for your leadership, your friendship, your insights, and for, really pulling back the curtain on the real work that goes behind what you do every day. So I really appreciate it. To everyone who joined us today, thank you for being part of this community. If this conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone who needs to hear it and who is interested in getting in this business. Reach out to us, and we'll be glad to connect you to the right people to be able to get involved in relocation. And before we close, and we have placed a lot of people, it's one of those businesses that constantly does help, right, with opportunities. Before we close, please join us. Our next Diversity Matters show is going to be on May 27th, and we're going to talk about the AAH WPI community and what's happening in that space and the newest report out that Aria did. So it's going to be a great, impactful conversation. And of course, we're going to be back here on June the 10th with another series of incredible leaders on our next Women Who Lead episode. So as always, thank you, ladies. I loved spending the time with you. And for all of you, until we meet again, keep building, keep leading, and keep creating the kind of impact that lasts. I'm Teresa Palacios Smith, and this has been Women Who Lead. We'll see you next time. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.